Hi everyone and welcome to Whitfield Lane. So today we're going to be looking at some trackside details. Joining us today is Maddie. As you can see, she's quite relaxed and enjoying her time whilst I'm at home. So let's crack on with the video. Okay, I've got three items here from Scale Model Scenery that we're going to see in the video today. First of all, I've got the catch pits. I actually added these before I started ballasting. They're a lot easier to do, just stick in between the tracks and then you can just ballast around them. So up next is the concrete line side cable trunking. I added these after I did the ballasting, and also the orange UTX trunking, and you can add these before or even after you've done your ballasting. I'll also be looking at some PECO items I have here. First one I have is the dummy point motors, followed by the AWS ramps, and then finally the TPWS grids. As a late addition to this video, I'm also going to be showing you the relay boxes which are made by Wheels Kits. You'll see that at the end of this video. Okay, firstly let's look at the Scale Model Scenery catch pits I have here. These I added before I started ballasting, and I just glued them in between the tracks. They come in two parts, the bases and then just the grids that just fit on top. Okay, so let's look at the bases. You'll just need a sharp knife just to quickly remove these. And then also get a cloth and just wipe around the edges just to remove the burnt sort of residue that's been left from the laser cutting. Okay, so the only part you really need to paint on this is just the grid tops. I'm just using a blue acrylic spray, just giving it 2 or 3 light coats. So the next stage is just to assemble these. Just from experience, I just found the easy way to assemble these is just to add 4 tabs of glue on top, and I can just add the grid on top and that'll sort of keep it in place. It does say in the instructions just to glue with the tabs. As I said, from experience, I've just found these a little bit difficult. The tabs are quite small and brittle and they tend to break off. This is why I tend to glue on top first and then I glue the sides afterwards. So there you go, nice and simple, very easy to do. You get 9 in the pack, and then all you need to do is sort of just glue them on your layout. My preference is just in between the tracks. I tend to space them out about every 50 centimeters. This gives a nice sort of visual look around the layout. Okay, so up next is the orange UTX trunking. Nice little simple idea that'll add some great detail to your modern layout. There's 2 ways you can sort of install these. The first one is to install them in between the sleepers before you start ballasting. I tend to cut these off at sort of lengths of sort of 4 centimeters. The second way you can do this, if you've already done your ballasting, I'm now going to show you just sort of a quick way that you can add the tubing. Okay, so this may seem a little bit drastic, but I actually just use my Dremel. I have a sort of 2mm drill piece fitted this, and I just drill in between the sleepers, and just sort of drill through on one side, and then I go through to the second side, do the same again, just careful not to sort of damage the rail, and just sort of drill underneath, and then just on each side, again, just carefully with the Dremel, just clear a little bit of ballast, just so I can push the tube through. Okay, so once I've done the drilling part, I then just use a little tool, just clear out the holes just on each side, and sort of clear out any ballast that may be in the way. Again, just with a sharp tool, I just sort of flick away any ballast that may get in the way, just to make sure the orange pipe can stick out either side of the track. So after a quick hoover just to remove any loose ballast, I then get my 4 cm section of orange tubing, and then I can just push it through and it'll sit nice and tightly in place. Okay, so next up is the concrete trunking. I quite like the look of these. Initially, which I see as you can turn over, looked a little bit complicated, but in actual reality they're quite simple to do once you've removed each section. So the first stage is there's the centre strip, and we just glue this to the base of the trunking. Next we just need to glue the sides, just need to make sure that the scoring marks are visible from the outside. I then just use a straight edge just to make sure that the edge glues up in an upright position. Glue the second side wall in the same way, and as you can see it's now starting to take shape. Now just to finish off the top, we're just going to add a centre strip to the top of the trunking, same as we did with the base. As you can see, this is ready to go, but if you want to add some realism to your layout, we can now look at removing some sections and making some loose tops. Carefully using a sharp knife, I just cut 3 sections. I then had some wire that I had hanging around. I've just inserted that into the open section. I then glued the 3 sections just loosely on the top, just to make it look like they've been knocked off at some point. Included in this kit are 8 T-sections. They are quite fiddly to put together, but they do look quite nice as an extra detail for this trunking. Just a little tip when you're building this kit, it's probably best to leave the lids till the end before you glue them into place. Just make sure you have the desired lengths, everything is in the correct place, and once you're happy, just glue the lids into place. So next up I've got the 3 PECO parts to look at. The first one is the dummy point motors, followed by the AWS ramps, and then finally we've got the TPWS grids. Okay, with the dummy point motors, they literally come straight out of the bag. I don't paint them at this stage, but what I will do is once they're installed on the track, I'll probably weather them when I come to do the track. As you can see, the only thing I need to do is just make sure they're level with the track. So all I need to do to install these dummy point motors is a small strip of cork and 2 extra sleepers. Point motors would normally sit on extended sleepers, so with this process I just glue 2 pieces of sleepers to the bottom and then trim them flush. Once the extended sleepers are glued in place, I then just glue the point motor onto a little piece of cork, and then all I do is just trim off any excess, ready so I can fit it into the track. It might be a good idea at this point just to take note of which way these fit. I use lots of reference pictures off the internet just to see which way the point motors went. As you can see, these point motors actually face in the direction of the actual point itself. I'm not an expert engineer, but hopefully I've got these in the correct position. So the last thing I needed to do is just top up around the edges with some ballast. So next up is the AWS ramps. Again, these are quite simple. All you need to do is detach them from the sprue. The only thing I do with these is the center box I spray yellow. Then probably the next stage I'll do, once the track gets weathered, I'll probably just spray them with some dirty grime or something. If you ever get to see an AWS ramp and its natural habitat out in the wild, it's normally about 185 meters away from the signal. I can't replicate this on this layout, so what I've done, I've just spaced it out at about 1 meter to give it a very good visual look. So the last item I got here from PECO is the TPWS grids. If you're not familiar with the system, I'm going to give you a quick brief overview now. So the first pair of grids will be situated just prior to the AWS ramp. This is called a speed trap. This will detect the speed of the train as it approaches the signal. These will be spaced out accordingly, and this will depend on the speed of the line. So the second pair of grids are situated opposite the signal. Depending on what type of signal you have here, you can have two setups. You may have another speed trap set up here, but in this instance I've got them back to back, which would mean if the signal was at red and the train was to pass over these grids, it would automatically bring the train to a nice safe stop. I must admit these are a little bit fiddly to fit to the track. First thing you need to fit the bars. You will have to trim these depending on what type of manufacturer track that you're using, and it's just a case of just gluing the grid on top of the two bars. So just to finish off the video, we're going to quickly look at the Wheels Kits relay boxes. I believe there's two sets of these. This is set 1. In this particular pack you get two pairs. You get one with a double door and one with a single door relay box. As a little modelling tip here, I use these sandpaper grids. I just found them at home. They were just lying around after a DIY project. They're very easy to buy from B&Q. You can just cut them to shape, and then I normally just glue them to a little bit of plastic card, cut and shape it, and then I'll just add my AWS boxes on top in whichever format you want, and then I just spray them in a mid-sea grey, and all I need to do is then just add some rust and just sort of weather them up, and then they're ready to go. Thank you everyone for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. You got some great tips from this. Hopefully I'll see you soon with some more modelling.